Welcome to Plan9Crunch. I'm Doug Gibson, and tonight we're at the Egyptian Theater, where they are showing the 1925 silent horror Phantom of the Opera. And we're in Ogden, Utah, by the way. The Phantom of the Opera was a Universal production directed by Todd Browning. Carl Laemmle, who was the producer and the head honcho at Universal, he was hanging out with Gaston Leroux, who wrote Phantom of the Opera. He read the book in one night and desperately wanted to make the movie. The movie stars Lon Chaney as the Phantom. His makeup is so iconic, they didn't even know what it was going to be like until they started filming. Mary Philbin plays the young, lovely Christine, and then Norman Carey is her suitor. Those are the main stars. Phantom of the Opera went through a lot of reshoots because audiences initially didn't like it. They thought it was a bit of a downer ending, and they didn't want any kind of mercy to go to the Phantom, which is in the book. But it eventually became a huge hit. It was remade, sort of, as a silent. One thing we'll show you is the color that's also in this silent film. So we're glad you're here. We're glad to be watching this. And now we're back, just talking about it. It was a great movie. Big crowd in Ogden to see a fantastic film. And The Phantom of the Opera was directed by Rupert Julian. Many people think that he might have had help, but who knows, okay? And Gaston Leroux wrote the novel in 1910, and he was having a conversation with Carl Laemmle. And they were talking about the possibility of having this novel, this Gothic novel, made as a movie. And apparently, Laemmle read the whole thing in one night, which is quite an accomplishment, and absolutely wanted to make The Phantom of the Opera. Of course, only one man was considered to play the Phantom, Lon Chaney. And they filmed it quite a bit. You know what? Originally, their first preview dissatisfied some potential viewers. And so they did reshoots. Some of the concerns were showing too much sympathy for the Phantom, actually. They didn't like the scene where Christine Daae, the singer he adores, kisses him. You may have seen that scene in the 2004 movie musical. And they really just wanted the Phantom to suffer, okay, more or less. And that's how it came out eventually. And it turned out to be a huge hit. It cost about $660,000 to make, a lot of money for, let me just double check that, but I believe it was $660,000. Give me a second here. I know it grossed $2 million. Yeah, $632,357 is how much it cost. The box office was $2 million. And then, let's see, 4 years later, they added sound to the film and grossed another $1 million. So that was a huge hit. That was a mega hit. Now, Christine Daae is played by Mary Philbin, and her boyfriend, Raoul, was played by Norman Carey. In fact, Norman Carey was in The Unknown, another Lon Chaney film, in which he played a man who loved a woman that Lon Chaney's character desired. So, how do you think this film sets up against the other ones? We had a 1942 version, I believe with Claude Rains as the Phantom. Herbert Lom played the Phantom in 1962. We even had Robert Englund play, I think it was him, as the Phantom of the Opera in either the 80s or 90s. It's not a really good movie, though, to be honest. And then, of course, you had the film in 2004, which was a musical. And I think this one remains the best adaptation, even though it does veer away from the book at times. Now, I want to show you a scene that we particularly enjoyed, and it involves the diva Carlotta, who the Phantom can't stand. Eric, the Phantom, cannot stand, and is telling these poor guys who run the theater or own it now that he's going to cause a catastrophe if they don't make Christine Daae the big star. But these guys, they really can't seem to deal with this Phantom, even though he openly watches in the audience. So let's go to that now, Jack, all right? And everything appears fine. Uh-oh, something's wrong with the lights here. There's the owners, now quite worried. Poor Carlotta keeps trying to sing amidst all the chaos. Uh-oh, there's a full crowd there too. There's the Phantom. Uh-oh, panic. She is singing, "Bring down the chandelier." Ooh. Okay, Jack. Well, that's a very impressive scene. It really is. And I wonder if they did that in one take. I'd imagine they probably did. It shows the lethal ability of the Phantom. He kills a stagehand earlier in the movie. Also, they have no control over Eric, that's his name, to try to do anything. But he allows, I don't know if you'd call what Eric feels for Christine love. It's more like possession, adoration / possession. And that, proves to create quite some controversy or problems for him because he starts killing people also. I wanted to mention a little bit, until just recently, a few years ago, Carla Laemmle, who lived to be 104, 103 or something, I think 104 years old, maybe 105. She was a prima ballerina at the age 15 in this movie. And I think you see her dancing at the beginning. It looked like her. She may have been in the chorus behind, but I thought she was the premier one, but I'm not wedded to that idea. It looked like her. Carla Laemmle was interesting. She was also in the opening scene of Dracula, where they're in the coach and she's just talking, reading from about history of the land and everything. Norman Carey was a good actor. I don't recall him having much of a sound career, but he was a good, solid actor. He is bewildered in this film because Christine, some people say Christine chooses her career over him, but I got more of an idea that she was so devoted to the Phantom, and she was a big fan at the beginning, that she is simply telling him, "I can't have you in my life anymore. I've devoted my life to Eric." Later, we're going to show a scene where she finds out some unpleasant details about the Phantom, even though he has warned her not to take off his mask. And it's a classic scene. Some little background information right now. Nobody except whoever made the mask and put it on knew what Lon Chaney's Phantom was going to look like. So when this was revealed, at least, I don't know if they did, they may have done takes before this, but the first time it was revealed, other cast members and crew, most of the crew had not seen what this mask is. And the mask is iconic today. Well, the scene where he is unmasked is iconic. I think I wore a Phantom of the Opera mask when I was a kid, Halloween, and believe me, this is the mask. If none of the other masks are for sale from these movies. Anyways, so Jack, let's look at this scene. She is underneath in the cellars with Eric. He's taken her down. And she spent an unhappy night because she's scared a little bit, but also curious. She just woke up. Eric sent her a note saying, I'm practicing. This is a beautifully shot scene. One good thing about this movie is its pacing is great. It's not afraid to let you really get into a scene and get totally invested in it. It doesn't try to do things too soon. He's playing Don Juan Triumphant, an opera he's written. I love the silent style acting. Don Juan Triumphant. There it is. Some famous words, iconic words come out. It was on the screen in a second. Look at the horror of that face. Feast your eyes, glut your soul on my accursed ugliness. Thanks, Jack. We can go now. Well, as I mentioned, no one's played this better than Lon Chaney. He's also not presented as a particularly sympathetic character in this movie. He's an escapee from Devil's Island as a character who seems mysterious in this movie, but later teams up with Raoul to try to find the Phantom. And he turns out to be a special investigator trying to catch the escaped criminal. Now, Eric, after this scene, allows Christine to go back up once, but she must never go to Raoul and come back to him. There is very interesting color scene where there's like a mask, a mask party in the ballroom, and you can see Eric wearing a mask of death, and he eventually sees on the roof Raoul and Christine and making out with each other, kissing. And that brings us to what eventually becomes the climax of the Phantom of the Opera. I want to urge you, if you have a chance, see the Phantom of the Opera on the big screen. Enough repertory places play it, particularly during the Halloween season, that you can probably find it somewhere. The Egyptian in Ogden, I'll do a plug for them. Last year they showed Nosferatu, and we did a similar Plan9Crunch. And this year they showed Phantom of the Opera, fantastic. Next year I'm hoping maybe they'll show The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Or they could show Hoxton, which is a very long movie, by the way. Or they could show The Golem. Or they could show The Cat and the Canary, or Seven Footprints of Satan. There is just an unlimited amount. Magic, is it called Magic Carriage? Haunted Carriage, I think it's called. But that's more of a New Year's one. There's a tremendous amount of wonderful silent films out there. 1920, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with John Barrymore is also a superb movie. So this film, like I said, was a big success. Lon Chaney was the major actor in these type of roles, and he could play any role. He had a certain amount of intensity. As great as he is in this film, I think his acting is even better in The Unknown, but he never gave a really bad performance. And of course, Todd Browning and him, director Todd Browning, just worked, wonders, although Browning didn't direct this movie because he was at a different studio at the time. But it's a good film. I'm glad Universal made it. It's for some reason it went into the public domain a mere 28 years after the film. I guess Universal didn't renew it. So there are millions and millions of, not millions, what am I saying? There are lots of different prints. I urge you to try to watch a good one. If you're going to watch it on the TV screen, get the Blu-ray. It's available out there. I saw a dreadful one recently on YouTube. And when you buy them from very, very cheap sources, you usually get a bad print too. Anyways, we hope you enjoyed our visit to see Phantom of the Opera. Jack Sinope was with me, and Jack is our cameraman. And Sophie Gibson, my daughter, and Jack's girlfriend were also there. Steve D. Stones of Plan9Crunch wanted to be there, but he had to teach his art class at Weber State University. So Jack, why don't you give a wave to people right now, just so they know you were here, okay? There he is, okay. So this is Plan9Crunch. I'm Doug Gibson. And Plan9Crunch is at YouTube. Give us a subscribe. We're growing, and we're very grateful for that. You can give us a like on TikTok, a like at Plan9Crunch podcast and blog on Facebook. And we reviewed, I think we have a couple of reviews of Phantom of the Opera at our conventional blog, Plan9Crunch.com. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this season. And that's a wrap.